welcome. You're watching FYI. I'm Rishika Barua. It's that time of the year when firecrackers are back in the news. Now, this Diwali, many states across India have actually banned or restricted the use of firecrackers completely. Now, some states, though, like Karnataka, for instance, have allowed for green crackers. Now, it all started in 2015 when a PIL was filed in the Supreme Court seeking a ban on firecrackers in Delhi. This was specific to Delhi at that point. In October 2018, the Supreme Court allowed bursting of low-emission crackers, relaxing the complete ban that was issued on firecrackers in 2017. Now, green crackers were developed by the CSIR, the NDTV, as per the court's direction. But the question that we're asking on FYI today is, are these green crackers really green in the true sense? Is that really our redemption? Well, the process of manufacturing these so-called green firecrackers is riddled with half-truths, with U-turns, with a lack of quality control and a poor enforcement of the Supreme Court order. Needless to say, a lot of chemicals that we'll try and break down for you in this broadcast. So we look at the facts versus the reality of green crackers, and how is it that nowhere in the world a product like this is available. This green crackers is a very Indian concept. But first, before we get into the nitty-gritties and the details, what really is a green cracker? Well, these are essentially low-emission firecrackers that were developed by the CSIR NDTV, which is the National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, which is a constituent laboratory of the CSIR. Now, green crackers are supposed to emit 20 to 30% less. These are crackers that are produced using less harmful raw materials, for instance. Now, chemicals such as lithium, barium nitrate, lead, etc. are not used in the production of these firecrackers. Now, they also, interestingly, release water vapor and therefore don't allow dust particles to settle. They are designed to emit 30% less particulate matter pollution. And the National Green Tribunal, interestingly, allows green crackers to be used in places where the AQI is not poor. Now, the other big question, are green crackers really green? Should you really be opting for green crackers this Diwali to make yourself feel better? Well, now this is interesting because a study that was conducted by the Awaaz Foundation in Mumbai has found poisonous emissions of banned substances emanating from these green crackers. This is a study that we'll talk about in detail that has found barium nitrate, potassium nitrate and sulfur in these green crackers. Now, barium nitrate, remember, has been banned by the Supreme Court back in 2018. Barium nitrate is the chemical that is used to emit green light that is found in these green crackers. So the green crackers also, interestingly, on the boxes openly display banned chemical content on their packaging. This is what the Awaaz Foundation report has found, that the pollutants that are emitted by green crackers could also worsen the COVID-19 infection. These findings are extremely crucial and extremely important for you to understand what really is the story behind these green crackers. Now, like I said, very interestingly, the Karnataka government this year initially banned the use of firecrackers altogether, but within that 24-hour period, actually allowed for green crackers. So what's been the reaction to this green cracker development in Karnataka? Let me first play out this report that my colleague Maya Sharma has sent us, and then we will open this discussion, this very interesting discussion, to our panel of experts.
Karnataka is looking at a Deepavali which has to walk a middle path between the need for clean air at a time of a pandemic and the desire of many to burst firecrackers during the festival.
The government has permitted green crackers. So along with the festival, it is a culturally, we are used to burning crackers. So to control and to ensure, even in the COVID-19 and the environment, government has permitted green crackers to be bursted and to celebrate the festival.
Those who sell firecrackers have already been hit hard by the pandemic and the rise in costs of materials for fireworks, which has raised their price. The initial ban announcement was a shock for those who had already bought stocks.
The Honorable Chief Minister has told that you are going to ban the crackers to do it in the festival in Karnataka. So it is a shock to us to see that we, our Hindus, celebrating this festival. It's a great Diwali, means it is a very big festival. So everybody was upset regarding this. After that again our Chief Minister again said that okay, you can do it with the bursting crackers of the green crackers. So that will be useful to us. Already so many companies in Shivkashi are manufacturing these items, green crackers they are manufacturing. Very simple, green crackers means flower items. And also it exhibits what you call smoke, very less.
Cracker sales have already been hit. And even those whose business is selling fireworks acknowledge the need to take care of health.
Nowadays people also it has become very costly, material also is very costly. So they can't buy, even they buy 1,000 rupees crackers, it will last for 10 minutes. That's a lot more than that. If you got about 1,000 rupees in 10 minutes means how many people got a capacity to buy more? Only few people. So that even now regarding already we are having the problem with the COVID. Now we are facing this also double loss to us. Now already 6 months we closed the shop and we paid the salary to the staff and everybody. Now again this means again where we have to bring the money to pay the salary and all. So I should thank all our Karnataka people to celebrate the festival at a very simple manner and also see that they does not disturb others. Even the COVID patients are there, means take care and to celebrate the Diwali with the green crackers.
Public response has been mixed. For some, Deepavali isn't Deepavali without crackers.
See, Diwali is a festival which brings lot of colors and it's a festival wherein you need the crackers. Without the crackers there is no celebration in Diwali. So it's a good call that they have taken in using green crackers wherein you will have less pollution. But at the same time, due to the pandemic, there should not be overcrowding of people in one certain area to burst the crackers, and they should not allow cracker bursting late in the nights, by which they will be more safer for all the asthmatic patients and the people in and around who are even suffering from COVID or anything.
No, I don't know what is green crackers, but the ban is quite good. No, it will help the people, COVID patients and all the normal elderly people, and this the COVID patients have more of lungs problems. It help those people in that.
The Chief Minister and others have appealed to the public to celebrate Deepavali in a simple way. With the cost of fireworks, in a time of economic stress, and during a pandemic that has affected the lungs of thousands, that would seem to be good advice. With Govind Murthy, Maya Sharma in Bengaluru for NDTV.
Well, let's go across now. We have Sumaira Abdulali, the convener of the Awaaz Foundation, the NGO that has actually come out with that very interesting report on green crackers. Appreciate you very much joining us. We have Dr. Arvind Kumar from the Gangaram Hospital in New Delhi, who's also the managing trustee for the Lung Care Foundation. We have Santosh Harish, a fellow of the CPR. And joining us from Nagpur is Dr. Rakesh Kumar, the director of NEERI. We also have Dr. Hasnain Patel. He's the president of the International Board of Clinical Metal Toxicology. Thank you all very much for joining me on this extremely interesting and a very important conversation to be had at this time. Sumaira Abdulali, I want to begin by asking you. The Awaaz Foundation has come out with a report which essentially, and if I could, break through all of the complicated chemicals that you've talked about, basically your report says there's nothing green about green crackers.
Well, firecrackers are essentially a composition of different chemicals which give you the effects that we expect from crackers, and that includes the smallest cracker, even the sparklers. In fact, in some ways the smallest crackers have a more immediate reaction because they're held very close to your face. So I appreciate that NEERI has come out with a formula which has greatly reduced the level of emissions by having vapor spray and things like that. But the composition of the crackers still contains extremely toxic substances like barium nitrate, potassium nitrate, sulfur and other things. And however much you may reduce them, the fact remains that they are very much there, and they are there in particular firecrackers which we are encouraging children to use and calling them safe.
I think that's very interesting that these are considered particularly safe for children, but is it actually safe? Let's also get in a perspective from Dr. Rakesh Kumar. He is the director of NEERI, who's joining us from Nagpur. NEERI, remember, is pioneered in engineering these green crackers. Dr. Kumar, would you like to weigh in on this particular report, which essentially busts this whole concept of green firecrackers altogether?
Yeah, I fully agree with the statement which Smaira just now made. When we talk about firecrackers per se, it's a combination of chemicals. So it's not only barium, there are a lot of other chemicals which give you the whole sparkling experience, color as well as sound. So essentially this is a chemical reaction, and you will have certain kind of chemicals which are there.
Right.
So when we started working on it, 2018, when Honorable Minister gave the challenge to all the scientific community to work on it, we looked at how can we reduce it. So the first terminology which was used in our community was reduced emission crackers.
Right.
Green cracker terminology came from somewhere, and I think probably it stuck because of simplicity.
Right.
So right now we have something which is 30% less than normal baseline what we used to have, and our almost 8 scientific labs are working together to reduce it to up to 50%, 60% of different sets of chemicals.
Okay.
So that's where we are. We can't have firecrackers without any emission.
I think that's very, very, very important perspective, Dr. Kumar, and really appreciate you for being, very categorical about that explanation. But, before I move on, I want to also ask you, Dr. Kumar, how is it that no other country has come up with this? It's so far, it's so far restricted to India, this concept of green cracker or reduced emission cracker, like you explained. How come no one else has thought of this?
So it's, again, that statement is not true. Many countries have limits on certain kind of emissions which can happen from firecrackers, and they do it in the category wise one by one. Right. Probably they are not using the terminology that we are using. So it's not true that other countries do not have any control on emissions, and they don't have technology. What is important here to remember is that after having started this whole activity from our side, from Indian side, where firecrackers was considered as an art, not as science, now from different countries are coming to India to buy green crackers. So
but it's important to note here, and like Dr. Kumar and Sumaira have both underlined, that green crackers doesn't mean that they are smokeless crackers. It just means that there is reduced emission, and I'll get Sumaira to weigh in on that as well. But Dr. Patel, understanding this from a toxicology point of view, what is the impact that these firecrackers have on the human body? Break it down for us.
Well, it's very simple. You say a little poison is better than a lot of poison. So it's a very foolish concept. The right thing is to do is to have electronic crackers, which should be safe, reusable, and not destroy the environment or the individual. Metals are meant to be outside the body, not inside the body. The very fact that we have such an explosion of diabetes, hypertension, and all the other chronic diseases in India points mainly to an external source like heavy metals. Right. Which is often ignored because the government cannot afford to say, well, let's change our manufacturing processes or let's change something else. Today, no one wants to examine metals in the air and ambient state. If they examine that, but that's why we switched over to unleaded petrol.
Right.
So no metal is safe.
No metal is safe. Dr. Arvind Kumar, would you agree with that assessment that poison is poison? Whether it is 30% less or 10% less or 20% less doesn't change the fact that it's poison.
First of all, thank you for having me on this show, and I 1,000,000% echo the statements made by my previous 3 esteemed co-panelists. This green cracker is a misnomer. It's a fraud as far as the health angle is concerned. Right. By using the word green, we are misleading people, we are fooling people. I want to say, give a simile. A fire is a fire is a fire. There cannot be a safe fire and an unsafe fire. Right. Similarly, a cracker is nothing but a mixture of poisonous chemicals, and they are poisonous, There's nothing green about it. Right. If the cracker has PM 2.5 We have done studies on all crackers and found the PM and other levels to be as much as 20 to 30,000 in the 1 meter periphery of the cracker where it's being burst. Even if you reduce it by 30%, you are bringing it down from 20,000 to maybe 15,000.
Yes.
It's as deadly as it was before. So by using this, misusing this word green, I think it's a fraud.
I want to then bring in Santosh Harish into the conversation. You know, why then is green cracker being treated as some kind of a redemption by our governments, by our authorities? Do you think it's time to call it for what it is, like our panelists have done?
Yeah, and thank you for having me here. No, I would agree. The green crackers is a misnomer. Yes, it is. It emits less than the traditional crackers do, but at the scale at which we burst these crackers, and let's also consider the impact on pollution, right? Yes, the levels of particulate matter spike from the already severe levels and this persists for a few days, but the specific substances that are emitted are especially toxic.
Yes.
And those bursting crackers living in neighborhoods where these are being burst with great vigor are exposed to it more directly. So in addition to the particulate matter, the specific substances, I think, are of note.
Right.
We need to acknowledge the limits of technological innovation here ultimately. Crackers, green or otherwise, at the scale at which we burst on a single day, are highly polluting, are very harmful to vulnerable populations. Public health concerns trump everything else this year more than usual.
Well, I think we've tried to explain, the green cracker phenomena, what it is, the fact that, a green cracker doesn't necessarily mean that it causes no harm. You've heard from the man who sort of, is behind this entire green cracker movement on what it really is, call it for what it really is. But, I want to also understand from all our panelists what this means and why this is such an important conversation to have at the time of a raging pandemic. So we're going to slip into a very short break, but we'll talk about the phenomenon of firecrackers or green crackers, whichever you like, in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic on the other side of a very short break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Should you be using green crackers this Diwali? We're breaking down the facts versus the myths. Sumaira Abdulali, the NGT has allowed for green crackers to be used in places where the AQI is not poor. What do you make of this?
Well, the NGT has left it to the state governments to decide whether to use it in places where the AQI is not poor. And Mumbai is one such place, so I have a personal experience of it.
Yes.
When we say not poor, we mean it's moderate. We don't mean it's good.
Yes.
And we are going to be releasing toxins into the air, which will add to it and make it bad. We also have peculiar weather patterns in Mumbai, which allow...
Yes, your report very clearly draws parallels between COVID-19 and how, even a green cracker could potentially worsen the spread of COVID-19. Do you want to talk a little more about that?
Yeah, so if you're using a green cracker which contains all these toxins and you're inhaling it directly, then definitely you're going to worsen the effects. Remember, many COVID-19 patients are asymptomatic and they're spreading it to people around them. So that's one. The other is, of course, that if a single person violates, you're actually impacting thousands of people in a city like Mumbai or any other urban area. So I think the NGT has left it to state governments, and I have appealed to our state government and nationally to all other state governments, to the center, to let other state governments know that these green crackers are going to harm their citizens, and that when we talk of enjoyment, we have been in a position where our government has valued our health to such a great extent that they have put us in lockdown for so many months.
Dr. Patel, if I can bring you in at this moment, explain to our viewers as simply as you can. Even using a green cracker at a time when, the air pollution levels, at least in North India, are in the severe category, and of course we're in the midst of a raging pandemic, just how dangerous can this be?
This can be extremely dangerous. Matter of fact, the asymptomatic patients with COVID will become symptomatic. And once the inflammation starts again in the body, you may even go into a second COVID attack. So I firmly believe that firecrackers should be banned completely, and all smoke-causing procedures like crop burning, etc., all should come to an end.
Right.
You have insulted the environment to the nth degree. You can't expect it to support you anymore.
Dr. Rakesh Kumar, do you agree with that as someone who is, who has engineered this concept of a cracker that actually emits less? Do you agree that perhaps in the midst of a pandemic, even that's not advisable?
So let's look at the whole problem in a perspective. See, anything when you start banning, it basically says that you don't want to believe on science and technology. So when we want to do any banning in our country, especially, it hasn't actually worked out. So we have to take periodic steps one by one, and NGT has very rightly said that depending upon the severity of your air quality and meteorological condition, you can use or you cannot use it. So I think the whole game of air pollution is dependent on meteorology and the sources that you have. And very rightly said, you have stubble burning, you have vehicles, you have garbage burning, all of that contributes. So green crackers basically give you an opportunity of reducing it less. But if you are already in a poor and severe condition, you must not be using any...
I think that's very important for our viewers to understand that if you're already, breathing air which is poor or severe, green crackers is definitely not your redemption. It's definitely not smokeless. It only reduces the emissions. It's still as harmful. Dr. Arvind Kumar, let me give the last word to you. The long-term impact. We put out that graphic just a short while ago of how much the AQI had worsened last Diwali, the pre-Diwali, post-Diwali, and look at those figures. I mean, it went up to almost 404 in Delhi NCR itself. What would you like to tell viewers, not just for this Diwali in the midst of a pandemic, but even otherwise, a word of caution against crackers? Dr. Kumar? All right, we seem to have lost that line. Let me then give the last word to Santosh Harish.
I thought you asked someone else. I just wanted to add a point, if I can, even 30 seconds on this. Starting with green crackers, and as I said in the beginning, there are 8 institutions in the country which are working on it. So right now we have composition which can actually reduce by 50%, 70%. Then there are composition which are herbal composition which will be not using any of these.
But those aren't out in the market yet.
They will come. They will come slowly.
Right. No, but I'm looking to specifically answer questions in context of this festival season. Santosh Harish, I have 10 seconds.
Thanks. No, I just wanted to say that we need the government to take a clear stance on this. There's been a lot of policy uncertainty on what is allowed, what is not allowed, and so on. There's a lot of confusion. So it'd be useful that, as opposed to a last-minute kind of a ban, they need to be able to take this kind of a decision months earlier, communicate it clearly to manufacturers, retailers, to the general public, so this is avoided. Thanks.
All right. I think that's extremely important perspective. Thank you all very much for joining me on FYI today. This is a very important conversation to be had on the eve of Diwali. If you are in a state where it is allowed, you must know that there is no such thing as a green cracker. They're all equally harmful. So this Diwali, perhaps refrain from bursting any firecrackers whatsoever. Thank you all very much for watching FYI, and we wish you a very safe festive season.